Hey guys, I'm Manan from More Data Scientists. In this video, we are going to talk about Python default argument values. Python's flexibility can be seen by using default argument values while defining a function. So, how it helps a programmer? A programmer can be able to use a default value for one argument or multiple arguments, and they will be able to call the function with fewer arguments. It actually helps to write a streamline code that is more clear and that is more efficient. So let's see some example and the syntax, how we can implement default argument values inside a function. Let's get it started. First, we are going to take a very simple example. Python default argument can be set inside a function when we are defining it. And it's in case if we call the function without giving any default value, so the default value that we have provided in the argument would be used. Now let's work on the first example. So over here, I'm just going to say def greet. Inside that, I'm going to take an argument that is name, and we are going to get a default value that is word. Inside that, just we are going to say print, and we are saying hello and name. Really simple. Now what we are going to do, we are just going to call the function, and we are going to pass the argument as alias, and then we are going to call the function again without giving any argument. Now let's run this code and see the output ourselves. So what is actually happening? So when we are saying greet alias, the argument name is taking the value of alias and it is printing hello alias. When we are just saying greet, so what's happening? The argument is taking the default value of world and we are getting the output as hello world. So this is how simple we can use default argument values inside any function. It's really simple, guys. Now let's move to the next one. Now we are going to see how we can combine positional arguments. So these are the arguments that are defined without default values and keyword arguments. So these are the arguments that needs to be defined with the default values. But one thing has to be noted that the positional arguments need to be defined before we define the keyword arguments. Let's take an example of taking an exponent of a number and how we can work on that. Let's see. Over here, I'm going to say def power. So we are defining a function. Inside that, we are going to take a positional argument. So that would be base and a keyword argument. So that would be exponent. And I'm giving it a default value of 2. So then I'm going to say print base is, then I'm just going to print the base, and then I'm going to say and exponent is, then I'm just going to print the exponent. I'm just going to copy it from here. Then what we are going to do, we are going to return base into exponent. Now we are going to call the function power. First I'm going to say print power, then we are going to give 2 arguments, so that would be 3 and 3. And one more example in which I'm going to say power and I'm just going to say 4. Now let's run this code and see what the output would be. Okay, this needs to be changed. So, okay. Now we can see the output. Over here, what we are seeing that when I'm calling power 3 and 3, so the base is taking the value of 3 and exponent is also taking the value of 3. And we are getting an output 3 raised to power 3, so that is 27. When I'm again calling the function power with a single value 4, the base is taking the value of 4 and the exponent is taking the default value that is 2. And I'm getting a return value of 4 to the power 2, so that is 16. So this is how positional arguments and keyword arguments works in Python. Really simple. Now let's move forward with the next one. Using default arguments is really helpful when we're writing a code, but we need to be aware of the potential pitfall that comes with it. It can lead to head-scratching bugs if we are not conscious. It generally happens when we are dealing with lists and dictionaries. Now let's understand this with an example and see how we can prevent that. So here I'm going to say def append to list. Inside that, I'm just going to add 2 arguments. So that would be value and list. argument. So that would be this. I'm going to say list arg dot append value, and after that I'm just going to return the list argument. Pretty simple. Then now I'm going to call the function. Over here I'm going to say append to the list, then I'm going to say one. Okay, before running the code, I want you to analyze how the code has been written and try to write down in the comment section what would be the output of this one. Let us run this code and see the output ourselves. So the output is one. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm again going to say append to the list two. Now, this is the point where I want you to think before you are going to write down the answer. What would be the answer of the second part? Now let's run this code and see the output ourselves. As we can see that the output is not 2, the output is 1 and 2. So why it is exactly happening? So this is happening because the default arguments are executed when the function is defined. It is not executed every time when the function is called. So what's happening? The common list is being shared, that is the list argument. So that is why we are not getting the desired output, that would be 1 and 2. So how we can prevent that? That can be prevented using a keyword none. So I'm just going to just copy this example, and I'm just going to say list argument is none. Then I'll say if list argument is none, then this list would be an empty list. Now if I run this code, would I get the output that is required? Now let's run this code and see it ourselves. Now we can see that we are getting the desired output because every time a new list is being instantiated. So this is how we can prevent some common pitfalls while working with default keyword arguments. Default argument values help you to write efficient functions with different number of arguments. It helps you to write efficient codes that is cleaner and more readable. But you need to be aware of the expected pitfalls. Otherwise, you'll be spending a lot of time in debugging your code. So how you can improve in this? In order to improve in Python and default argument values, you need to work on practicing. So practice and practice more. I hope you have enjoyed this video. So keep experimenting and enjoy your coding journey.